Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. My mom has always been one to prioritize work and business over family. Even family events were a means to strengthen business connections. My father and mother separated when I was 10, and my younger brothers were 8 and 4. That was about 16 years ago. We got used to not having a mother around, and our nannies were more of mothers to us than our mom was. I can't really recall a major milestone in my life or that of my sibling that our mom took part in. I am too busy to spend time on trivial things, she would say. We always thought that that was how families operated until we grew older and realized that our mom had a choice. We don't have a good relationship with her. It's all so formal and plastic. She only cares about what she wants done and when she needs it done. It was a relief whenever any of us got to travel until we all went to university and were not home. Starting from me, we all made sure we chose schools out of our state so we didn't have to attend school from home. It was the much-needed freedom that we all wanted. Whenever the semester was over, we always found ways to stay back. My siblings and I would meet up somewhere to have a good time, but we rarely went back home. For my mom, everything was an exchange. She had to be gaining something, either now or in the near future. Life was a business deal. Thanks to the head housekeeper, who actually attended to us and did her best to be a mother figure to us. It was from her that I learned how to be gentle and not demanding, because I wasn't entitled to anyone's life like my mother made it seem. Like I said, we always found excuses to not go home, but we made sure to be with our mom on her birthday. We arrived during the weekend and settled in. Not much ever changes in the house except the staff, because no one is allowed to make a mistake around her. Mistakes cost you your job. Once, I saw a housekeeper who started work in the morning, and before the end of the shift, she was fired. There was always some kind of tension whenever Mom was around. We hated that. My mom called a meeting the evening that we arrived at the estate. She told us that she was glad to have all her children here with her. It was her 65th birthday in a few days, and she wanted to retire before she turned 70. So she would give her estate and $12 million to the first to get married to someone from a respectable family that is high class and richer than us. A family with connections that can strengthen our business. Trust my mother to also give us options. She had a list of eligible spouses who come from respectable backgrounds, and we were to meet them at her dinner party. The dinner party came, and we got all dressed up like our mom would have wanted. She introduced us to the girls, and they all seemed the same. It was irritating. They were a bunch of stuck-up girls who thought everything in the world should be handed over to them. One by one, we found a way to escape from the girls. At the end of the party, our mother was furious, because she had business plans with the parents of these girls, and we were a part of the deal. She reminded us of how serious she was about handing over the inheritance to one person only. All of us wanted the inheritance, of course, and we almost fell for her trap, but we remembered that if we did what she was asking, it would just be a ticking bomb waiting to blast. We are all we have. My siblings and I did not want our mother to make us fight each other, all because of an inheritance. We decided not to play the game she wanted us to play. She can keep her inheritance if she so wishes. She doesn't know this yet. We have to figure out a way to break the news to her. Side note, at the dinner party, I actually met someone I liked, but I only know her name and have no way of contacting her. Well, let's hope we meet again. Back to the real story. The dinner was on the eve of her birthday, so we decided that we were going to go for it on her birthday. We had made a plan to make her feel special and then break the news to her. We had her assistant clear up her schedule. Knowing Mom, it would be hard to keep her away for too long, so we had to tell her during breakfast. We told her that we were not going to compete against each other for our inheritance, and most importantly, we love that we can work for our own money. And while her support is very appreciated, we can do without it. She was furious and started ranting about how she does everything for us, but we refused to take responsibility and do our part. She started shedding tears, but my brothers and I didn't pay attention to her one bit because we know what she is capable of, and her tears were emotional blackmail. She threatened to cut us all off if we didn't do what she asked us to, but we didn't care. Since we backed out from our plan, she has tried different ways to get us to comply, but we are determined to wear her out. Every day, I am glad that I didn't turn out like my mother. My brothers, on the other hand, are not finding it funny. They think it's her fault our father left and want nothing to do with her money. I'm not sure they know what that means because they are used to a particular lifestyle, and I don't think they would cope without it. We get everything we want on a platter, and that's a privilege that my brothers seem to be taking for granted. What I think we need to do is manage our mom instead of cutting ties from her. Yes, she can be annoying and insensitive, but she still is our mother, and we haven't seen or heard from our father in years. Our mom is the only family we have. I got a call to attend a meeting, which I obliged. The meeting was to remind me about all I would get if I won the inheritance, and how I would be in charge of the company and I can become the president of it. That's why I studied business administration in school, so I shouldn't let that be taken away from me. I was also reminded that I am the firstborn, and it's supposed to be my inheritance by default. All of this to try and instigate me against my brothers. My brothers also got similar calls from people working for my mom to try to make them see reasons why the inheritance should be theirs. I'm not going to lie, it was a little hurtful when I heard that. I thought she specifically wanted me to get the inheritance, so she wanted to talk to me personally. Mom is still desperately trying to matchmake us. None of the girls have been worth it. She told us that even if we don't want her inheritance, we can at least make her dream of seeing us get married come true. I think that if she just stepped down from her high horse and became a mother, we would understand each other more. She doesn't understand that her trying to force us to get married and giving an ultimatum about our inheritance only makes us move further away from her. She hasn't emotionally invested in us, so she cannot expect to reap from where she did not sow. I will only marry someone that I love, and it is the same for my brothers. It's amazing how, even after the demise of our parents' marriage and how dysfunctional our family is, we still believe in love. God really did a number on us. My brother and I decided that it was time to let our mother know that we are her family and not pawns in her game. We want her love, and we want to be a happy family. We may be 3 grown-up men, but we still crave our mother's love. We had never told her this before, or even insinuated it, but the stunt she tried to pull gave us the courage to. We plan to speak to her before we leave the estate this weekend. Let's hope it goes well. Fingers crossed. Today is the day that we tell our mother how we feel about her. We told her assistant to put us in her schedule and make sure she has time to see us. It is weird for us, but we know that it has to be done. She is surprised that we asked to see her. I know she thinks we are going to tell her that we accept her deal. She doesn't know what's coming for her. I start by telling her that we want our mother back. The mother that was present with us as a family before her business became successful, and started to have problems with Dad before he left. We were not going to compete for an inheritance, and if she didn't see us fit to handle her businesses, then she can give it to someone else, because family is more important to us. And her asking my brothers and I to fight for it in that way was going to tear us apart, and we would rather not risk it. She started to cry and apologize and say that she went too far. She mentioned that after our father left, because of her, she thought that she had failed as a mother and didn't know how to behave with us. She thought that we would hate her, so she just buried herself in more work to make sure that she could at least provide for our every need. She wished that it would at least compensate for all that she did. She said that it was her fault that our father left because they started to have problems because she was never home and always focused on her business. It just started then and needed all of her time. She missed him, but she made the tougher discussion to work on her business because she thought it was a worthy sacrifice and our dad wouldn't understand. He didn't, and they started to grow apart, and he cheated on her and fell in love with someone else who gave him time and was present. So he left. She never stopped blaming herself since then. Now, we understood her drive to make sure her business worked, because if she lost her marriage because of it, then the business had better be worth it. I'm happy that we are now on the same page about being forced to marry someone because of a business connection. Now, we don't have to compete for our inheritance, and best of all, we have our mother back after so many years. No a-holes here. Your mom was so focused on the wrong things that she forgot what really mattered. I'm glad you guys were able to sort that out. You're the a-hole. Who cares about family bonding? I would have taken the opportunity to have the inheritance to myself without even blinking. Next story. So my sister went through a very bad breakup with her ex-fiancé, and he doesn't care about their 2 kids at all. Because of this, my sister was a single mom for a long time. And as her only other sibling and sister, of course I helped her when she asked. I work from home, and my job allows me to watch children as well, since it's very simple. So taking care of my 2 well-behaved nieces and nephews isn't a problem for me, since my sister can't afford childcare. My sister received no child support, so if it was helping her, I was fine with it. She told me that she doesn't want child support because she didn't need it, and is doing fine without it, and she never wants to speak to her deadbeat ex again. 8 months ago, my sister started dating this guy, and I was so happy for her. 2 months ago, my sister just randomly brought up that he has a daughter to me, casually, in a story she was telling me about him. I was surprised since she never had before. I had to stop her and say, "Wait, what? He has a kid too?" She said that he's not in the daughter's life because the mother is a horrible person, and this and that, and they cheated on each other, and it's too difficult. So I said, "Okay." She's constantly telling me about how this guy is the best father figure to her kids, and that they call him dad, and he spends all this money on them. I asked, what about his daughter? And she gets mad and says to stop bringing up that he has a kid, and she should have never told me. I asked her how she's comfortable dating a deadbeat, but always complains about her ex being one. I told her he also tells the same story to other women about her being too difficult to co-parent with, and that's why he's not in her kids' lives. She got mad at me and told me to mind my own business. I told her that since this guy is her new kid's stepdad, he can also pay for their childcare. I told my sister that since she's dating a deadbeat, I'm not going to be her childcare, since the only reason I'm watching her kids is because she cannot afford childcare on her own. And since she refuses to put her ex on child support because he's a deadbeat, then she's a hypocrite. She said he would never pay that, and that if I stop being her childcare, she's gonna have to put her ex on child support to pay for it. And she doesn't want to reintroduce him in her or their kids' lives. And apparently I'm overreacting and I'm the a-hole. Am I? She refuses to put her ex on child support because he's a deadbeat. Not the a-hole. She needs to put her ex on child support. You aren't responsible or obligated to be her childcare. That's her ex's job. I don't know what she's doing. Also, that wasn't a dumb reason. It's the truth. Not the a-hole at all. First of all, you have no obligation to watch your sister's kids, and you are well within your rights to refuse to continue doing so for any reason you want. Your sister is the a-hole for not pursuing child support and instead relying on you to watch your kids. If she was getting child support, she could pay for someone to watch her kids. So for her to say she doesn't need it because she is doing just fine is nonsense. She doesn't need it because you are watching her kids for free. You're not overreacting, and you aren't required to watch your sister's kids. If she wants to continue being a hypocrite, not accepting child support from her deadbeat ex while supporting a deadbeat current, that's on her. But you don't have to be a part of it. Next story. I, 21F, have a 2-year-old boy with my husband, 21. My parents disowned me for having sex before marriage, specifically with a white guy. But my husband's family have been wonderful, and I appreciate them a lot. All of them except his maternal grandmother. She doesn't like me because she thinks I'm a gold-digging immigrant. I thought old ladies like her only existed in movies, honestly. Anyways, My son has blonde hair and blue eyes like his father, but has curly hair like me. Nobody in my husband's family has curly hair, so everyone found it cool, but moved on, because it's seriously not that big of a deal. My husband's grandmother is another story. She's been saying, hair like that does not run in this family, and other similar things, basically implying that my husband is not the father, which is insane because the two of them are identical. She's obviously saying it to bother me and my husband, and his family confirmed this as well. It's gotten more frequent since we got married late last year. My husband's family had a small dinner party yesterday, and for some reason, his grandma started telling my nieces, my sister-in-law's kids, 12 and 14, that my son isn't a part of the family because of his hair. After about 30 minutes of the three discussing my son's blood relation to them, I went to my husband's grandma and asked her what her deal was. I admit that I was shouting and called her insufferable and an irritating bug that you just can't get rid of. I then asked her if she cheated on her husband because her children don't have his green eyes. She started crying and told me to stop being ridiculous. I just called her a hypocrite. After everyone calmed down, my husband's grandma told me that she knew I wasn't as innocent as I pretended to be, and that I need to learn to respect people older than me. Her husband agreed and said that he's never had an issue with me, but I went too far today, especially since I'm aware that his wife has health problems. My husband, his sisters, and father say I did good, but his mother is begging me to apologize because her mother is very ill and old, and she doesn't know any better. It's only an apology, and I don't even have to mean it. But I just can't. Maybe I'm being oversensitive like she said. Am I the a-hole? To anyone who may be wondering, I'm South Asian. Yes, my son is white passing. Blue eyes run in my mother's family, but it's not very common. And yes, South Asians can have blue eyes. Also, my husband has told his grandmother to stop multiple times. He isn't close to her or his grandfather for a whole lot of reasons. He was not in the room when the whole thing happened, but I'm pretty sure he would have said worse due to their history. Not the a-hole. Don't apologize. That grandma does not get a free pass because she is sick, and definitely not for being old. She knows what she is saying is wrong, it's hurtful to you and your son, and it should not be condoned by anyone. Granny needed telling off, and you did that. If you apologize, you're telling her it's okay to disrespect your child and you, and you're giving her a green pass to do it at will. Do not apologize. Not the a-hole. Accusing someone of infidelity based on a racist mentality is disgusting and should not be tolerated. More importantly, it wasn't her first time saying nonsense like that. Being old or ill is not an excuse for being such a huge a-hole. And I, for one, feel frustrated about people who enable elderly a-holes because of this reason. Don't apologize. She might be old, but she needed that lesson before her death. Not the a-hole. So just because she's old, she gets a free pass for insulting you and your kid and being absolutely hateful and disrespectful? Absolutely not. And when you do the same once, you're the bad one? Yeah, no.